Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank, where I climb the online series 10 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Today is a special day because we are using Lugia, and what this means is after this, we actually have featured every single serious restricted Pokemon in Series 10 at least once. So thank you for following with me throughout this journey. It has been an absolute blast. Thanks to all of those who have submitted teams to me, and thanks to all for watching. I've had a really fun time in Series 10. This is definitely one of my favorite formats throughout all of Sword and Shield, and yeah, really just enjoy making content for all of you. So appreciate you all for watching, and yeah, it's time to use Lugia. So this team was built by 2018 World Champion Paul Ruiz, who is an amazing player and team builder, obviously one of the best of all time. Please go check him out. He has a YouTube channel. I've linked it down in the description below, as well as his Twitter. And he actually, I think, built this team live for YouTube content and played a couple of games with it as well. So huge shout outs to Paul for the team. And yeah, I'm really excited to feature it because it has a lot of cool Pokemon, including Choice Scarf Dracovish, Arcanine, and Power Lens Aegislash, of course, combined with the Weakness Policy Multi-Scale Lugia with Calm Mind and Fling Lansat Berry on Whimsicott. So before we dive into the entire team, I want to talk about Lugia for just a little bit. And of course, if you want to skip to the battles, timestamps are in the description below. So Lugia is a really interesting Pokemon in Series 10. It's actually really fast. It's got base 110 speed, so you actually outspeed most of the Pokemon in the format. It has like the edge over a lot of the base 90 to kind of 100 Pokemon, right? Pokemon like Kyogre, Groudon, Urshifu, for example. So Lugia actually outspeeds a lot of common Pokemon, and it gets pretty good coverage. Aeroblast in general is a decently strong attack. The one caveat with Aeroblast is that it can miss, and unfortunately, that is something that I think lends to like Lugia's inconsistency. Even though it's only 5%, that makes a difference, right? Whereas like I think the most consistent restricted Pokemon are all ones that use attacks that basically never miss. So you do have to factor that in when using Aeroblast, but it is just like such a strong attack that you're not going to go for an alternative. What I love about this team is that it really plays to the strength of Aeroblast, right? With the increased crit ratio. Now, with Fling and Lansat Berry on Whimsicott, you further increase that crit chance, right? And so Lugia can just get these really powerful Aeroblasts off if you get the combo going. Now, I played a lot of practice games with this team just because it's very unorthodox, and I'm not really used to playing a team like this. And the main thing I noted is that you're actually not going to go for Fling Weakness Policy most of the time, just because it's pretty hard to be in a position where you can just like safely get that combination off. At least like, yeah, in my experience. So, ideally you just go for Fling, Aeroblast like every game and just sweep through teams, but it's not that easy to actually execute that, so keep that in mind. I think like this isn't a weakness policy strat that you can just like pull off 100% of the time. So yeah, it's a little bit tougher to execute, but when you can get it, it pays off very heavily and it feels super good. One thing that I also love about this team is that it has Calm Mind on Lugia. Lugia generally just doesn't have great damage output, right? And a lot of players like to use Lugia like super bulky, but this is just nearly max special attack, max speed Lugia, so you're just trying to maximize its damage output. You get some room to work with because of multi-scale, which is also really nice in preventing you from getting one-shot by like super effective attacks. And Calm Mind is really sweet because if you look at the most common restricteds, 3 of the 4 are special attackers in Kyogre, Xerneas, and Calyrex Shadow Rider. So one thing you can do is, for example, just Calm Mind or Tailwind Calm Mind and then like build up some special defense boosts, which is really valuable. So yeah, with Lugia, a lot of it is aiming for a couple of special attack boosts. Unfortunately, Lugia's downside in this format is that it just really doesn't do much damage if you don't have boosts up, right? Its special attack, base special attack, is really mediocre, and truthfully, even if you get the like +2 boost with weakness policy, you're still not really dealing that much damage often across the board. Lugia is just one of the weakest offensive restricted Pokemon in the format, but it kind of makes up for it in its bulk. So I generally think Lugia is probably one of the tougher Pokemon to use in this format, just because I think it, there's so many Pokemon that just outshine it, but I think this team maximizes it as much as possible. So yeah, not much needs to be said about Whimsicott. Has the Fling with the Lansat, so you're going to try to activate Policy onto Lugia with that. Scarf Dracovish is a really fun pick. It's one that was obviously really common in the beginning of Sword and Shield, but we haven't seen too much in recent months, but I think this is a really cool set. You just outspeed a lot of common Pokemon. Vicious Wren just does, insane amounts of damage, and the coverage here generally is strong as well. Arcanine is really nice because it gives you an Intimidator while also having access to Helping Hands, so that further increases Lugia's damage output. Snarl is also really nice into all those special attackers that I was talking about previously. You've got classic Focus Sash Dark Urshifu here, and then finally Power Lens Aegislash. This is a Pokemon and set that I know that Paul specifically has liked using a lot, and I think I really love it. This thing can single-handedly beat some restricted Pokemon. Zacian struggles against it, Xerneas struggles against it, Calyrex Shadow Rider even struggles against it because you can potentially just one-shot with Shadow Sneak. with the Power Lens, you just decrease your speed. That increases the damage output of Gyro Ball while also ensuring that Aegislash can basically always Gyro Ball at the end of the turn, meaning that you don't stance change and then just get KO'd by something. So yeah, this also helps out against Trick Room compositions, which you might otherwise struggle with. And Wide Guard is really valuable in protecting Lugia, especially when you consider, once again, there's so many Sprite type attacks that Lugia doesn't want to go up against, whether it be Water Spout from Kyogre, Electro Web from Regieleki, which is probably one of the toughest Pokemon to go up against with this team, just because of Electro Web speed control. Xerneas, Dazzling Gleam, Calyrex Shadow Rider with, not Expanding Force, the Astral Barrage, etc. So yeah, overall this team has a lot of fun sets, right? The Lansat Fling is not something you see very often. Dracovish, Arcanine, Aegislash, none of those are super common Pokemon in the format, but they're all really good and definitely fulfill very, very good niche roles. And then at the end of the day, Lugia is the star of the team. So huge shout outs to Paul for the team. Check him out, linked in the description below. Thanks to you all as always for watching. It's been a blast to try out all these different restricted Pokemon as we near the end of Series 10. I really appreciate it. So if you enjoyed, please show your support by leaving a like. I'd really appreciate it. And question of the day, I want to know if you could create a brand new restricted Pokemon, what typing and stats or any signature attacks would you give it? Let me know in the comment section below, and let's get started. Alright, getting into things here, and it's going to be a Zacian team for the first game with Galarian-Zapdos. Okay, that's pretty scary, mainly because Arcanine is really our best answer into Zacian, and Zapdos is going to cause some issues. So what do I want to go with here? Whimsicott to try to set up Tailwind. We can match their Tailwind, although if we match their Tailwind, they're just going to outspeed us, so be careful about that. Indeedee for redirection is quite scary. There's a Urshifu, an Indeedee, and a Whimsicott, and Zapdos. Those are all Pokemon that want to run Focus Sash, so I'm actually curious where, like, the Sash is out of all of those. I feel like Indeedee lead here is pretty scary. I don't know. Like, Whimsicott plus... Like, I'm just trying to think what my opponent would want to lead with. You could just go Zacian plus Zapdos, I guess. I'm leaning towards Whimsicott, Lugia, Arcanine. What do I want as the last one? I think Aegislash? It's just that Scarf Dracovish with Vicious Rend is also kind of nice, but Aegislash generally does good damage with Gyro Ball across the board here, since they don't have a single resist to it. So, we'll see how this plays out. As you can see, I played a lot of games between the last episode and this one just to try to get the hang of the team. And I think it, like I've mentioned in covering the team, it's like Lugia in general is definitely just, I think, a little bit tougher to execute. Just because even if you get the policy strat off, like it doesn't necessarily just one-shot everything. So it's not as effective of a sweeper as some of the other, Pokemon that we've used. That being said, I still think that it has a lot of potential here. One of the main things I, ran into while practicing with the team is missing Aeroblast a bunch, and unfortunately it just not being 100% can make things a little bit more difficult, but we'll see how things play out. They're going to go with Landorus and Zacian. Okay. I feel like I should set up Tailwind. Alternatively, I could just like Fling and then Earth Power into Zacian, but Zacian's faster than us here, so I don't mind Tailwind into Calm Mind turn one's actually pretty interesting. Or I could actually Protect and switch this out into Arcanine. I actually don't mind that too much because it gets me an Intimidate onto Zacian, and then next turn I pressure the Zacian with a Flare Blitz and a Tailwind. So then my opponent's probably going to be inclined to switch out Zacian this next turn, and what I can do is then like Tailwind Whimsicott and switch Arcanine back out into Lugia, maybe? I'm not sure. We'll see. Okay, they just Blade. That's good. And Rock Slide. That was a really risky Rock Slide. We just activated Weakness Policy there, but okay. Works for me. It's pretty good damage on Arcanine, though. What do I want to do? I think I'm going to Tailwind here and then switch Arcanine back out into Lugia right now. Because I think Zacian protects or switches out here. And then I would think Landorus is going to want to go for a ground type attack onto Arcanine because that's the biggest threat to Zacian. So if I pull this off and I get Lugia in safely with Tailwind up while Zacian is switched out, we're in really good shape. But Zacian stays in, so could be a protect. Maybe it's just attacking here. Okay, it protects. That's fine. That works for me. Okay, so we successfully get Tailwind up. They're intimidated. And they go for Earth Power. Beautiful. Okay, good. I think here I want to go for the Fling Strat onto Lugia and then go for Aeroblast onto Landorus. Although Landorus isn't really much of a threat here, to be honest. But I just don't want to Earth Power Zacian and see it switch out right now. So, yeah, I think I'm going to go for the Fling onto the Lugia and then just Aeroblast into Landorus right now. I also I'm not sure a +2 Earth Power actually KOs Zacian and they do switch. Okay, maybe Zapdos? They go into Whimsicott, that's also fine. The key thing here is basically conserving that Intimidate. So we're going to fling the Lansat Berry, we're going to get the Lugia policy off and increase crit ratio. So... okay, and Wild Speed Landorus as well, which is nice. The good thing is also seeing Whimsicott. Like, I think Lugia generally is good into my opponent's team. It just doesn't do super well into the Zacian, but we get the crit there. Nice. And that's going to be a knockout onto Landorus. Perfect. So, glad to demonstrate the Fling Lansat strat immediately. So now if you bring out Zacian, I can obviously just pivot back out into Arcanine. It's going to be Urshifu as their fourth. It's Dark Urshifu. Okay. Dark Urshifu isn't really scary here, though, because I still have Tailwind up, so I'm down to just Moonblast Urshifu and Aeroblast it here, honestly. The only issue is if they, like, randomly have Trick Room on Whimsicott. That's my only fear, but I think that's somewhat unlikely. Maybe I want to split my damage, actually. Because, actually, yeah, I don't necessarily... I have, like, a pretty good answer into, Oh, it could also be Scarf Urshifu, I suppose. Yeah, I'm down to split my damage here. Since we already have the lead. I could see it actually having Trick Room on Whimsicott just because... oh, they switch. Okay. That's a good play. Although I don't mind it because getting free damage on a Zacian is always welcomed here. And I think, like... oh, they just Sucker Punch. Okay. It doesn't KO us, so I think this puts us in a really good spot. Let's see if they're Focus Sash on Urshifu here. Nope, they're not. Yeah, that's the interesting thing about my opponent's team. They have so many Pokemon that want to use Focus Sash. And fortunately, Aeroblast hits here. Okay, that's huge. I was really nervous about missing there. Fantastic damage on a Zacian. Nice. Okay, now we have Arcanine plus Aegislash, which are really the perfect two Pokemon to end the game for us. Because at this point, we've eliminated the biggest threats to Aegislash in Landorus and Urshifu, which is obviously super good for us. So it's the last turn of Tailwind. I could obviously pivot out into Arcanine here. If I'm my opponent, I'm Tailwinding with Whimsicott and then targeting Lugia. I'm down to just Moonblast Zacian. Like, all we need to do is knock out Zacian to win this game, right? And then pivot out into Arcanine. Aegislash at this point should seal it up for us with Gyro Ball. And I just want to get this Intimidate off immediately, basically. Because the thing is, at this point, my opponent can't switch out, so the only way you could increase your attack is if you have Swords Dance. If you don't have Swords Dance, you're in a really tricky spot. Yep, so they go for a Tailwind of their own. That's fine. I wish I had Taunt in this position. If I did, it would just be a guaranteed wrap. There's Behemoth Blade. Yep. So let's see where it's going into. Yep, they target Arcanine. Okay, nice. 130 down to 71. Maybe it was better to just Moonblast Whimsicott because it's probably a 2-hit KO, honestly. Whereas, like, Moonblast onto Zacian really just doesn't do that much damage, but I think I'm okay with it. Because now what I can do is just withdraw the Zacian. Yeah, that really doesn't do that much. But the idea was, like, so that a Gyro Ball would guarantee KO it. So Tailwind peters out. I'm down to just Tailwind here and then switch Arcanine back out into Lugia. Yeah, maybe Moonblast on Whimsicott was cleaner there, but I'm not really nervous about Whimsicott and, like, what is the rest of the moves? That's my main question right now. Taunt or Encore here onto my Whimsicott would make sense, but I don't really need Tailwind up in this game, but I'm actually gonna get it. Okay, cool, that works for me. Actually, that Tailwind's a bad play. Oh, and they have Wild Charge, wow. The reason that Tailwind's a bad play is because I'm still getting outsped by my opponent anyway, and if anything, it just reduces the damage I do from Gyro Ball. So I don't think that was actually super smart. Although I guess since my Whimsicott now survives the turn, I could potentially win a speed tie between our Whimsicotts. But I'll just go back into Arcanine. Like, the key thing we're doing here is just cycling Intimidates, basically, right? And a double up here shouldn't knock out Arcanine, so they're looking for a crit. I could also switch out Arcanine to get a third Intimidate onto Zacian. But at this point, a -1 Wild Charge. They could go like Helping Hand Wild Charge, I guess. I don't mind Moonblasting into Whimsicott, and then I don't want to protect in case they Encore me. Because what would be really bad, the way to throw this game is if they knock out Whimsicott, and then they have Encore with them, and then Encore into the Arcanine. So here, I think I'm willing to just go for the Flare Blitz. I guess I could switch. But either way, I'm playing around a crit, right? Yeah, and that doesn't do nearly enough. Perfect. Alright, Lugia was awesome in this one. This was, like, honestly the perfect game we could have had in terms of demonstrating how to get the Lansat strat off. We actually luckily get a special attack drop on Whimsicott. I don't really think that matters, because Arcanine is so bulky here. 65 down to 47. So yeah, even without the special attack drop, we would have survived. They were basically looking for a critical hit this turn, which is a little bit scary. But I felt very confident because we had Aegislash as our fourth in this one. So Zacian goes down, and yeah, perfect game really with Whimsicott and Lugia. The only thing that could have been better is the turn they switched out into Zacian, like if I had Earth Power there. I'm actually not sure it's a KO, honestly, but either way. I think the one, like, main, I wouldn't call it a mistake, but the turn where I Moonblasted into the Zacian, like, might have been better just to go into Whimsicott to break a Sash, but the way I was looking at it was that we were up 4-2, and all we needed to do in this game to win was knock out Zacian at 50%, so any amount of damage on it is valuable, but it's not actually the case, because we had two Pokemon, like Aegislash with Gyro Ball and Arcanine with Flare Blitz, and both could probably knock out Zacian from that range, so yeah, I don't think we actually needed to deal the damage onto it. Like, chip damage is only important when you can't pick up a knockout otherwise, right? But we had two things that could probably just knock out the Zacian from that range. So Aegislash didn't even end up coming out, but yeah, like, I think the main thing that benefited us in this game was how we positioned the Lugia. Like, we didn't go for the setup immediately on turn 1, but getting the Intimidate off, forcing the Zacian out, and then them not having Indeedee, like, they just had a lot of Lugia weak Pokemon, right? Aeroblast basically one-shots everything other than Zacian, and with that crit, we did 50% to Zacian, which was awesome. So yeah, very pleased about Lugia's performance in that one, and let's just keep it going. Getting into our next match here, and it's going to be a Calyrex Shadow Rider team with Regieleki and Mienshao. Okay. This is generally a tricky matchup because, like, they can just outspeed us. And Aegislash is really the Pokemon I'm looking at the most here. I'm just nervous about a Dracovish, sorry, Arcanine lead. But the thing is, Aegislash has Shadow Sneak here, so yeah. I'm gonna go with Aegislash. Aegislash Whimsicott seems so counterproductive. The main thing Aegislash is worried about is gonna be the Arcanine. Or sorry, the Entei. We have Arcanine. Like, honestly, in this game, I'm not even sure I want to go the Tailwind route because they have Tailwind as well. The cute thing we could do with Whimsicott Lugia is, like, Tailwind Calm Mind. But I don't know. I just think it's pretty hard to actually get much mileage out of Whimsicott if they have their own Tailwind. So maybe I just accept that I'm going to be slower in this one. And I'm going to go with Lugia plus Urshifu here. Yeah, that seems okay to me. I also can hear my alarm from downstairs, so I'm going to quickly go and turn that off as we get into this game. But yeah, we'll see how this works out. Okay, so it's going to be Aegislash and Dracovish into Mienshao and Calyrex. I'm actually really happy about this generally, I would say, because I can pressure with Sneak immediately into Calyrex. They don't have any Ghost Resists. But you know what the issue is? If I Shadow Sneak here, what they could do is just protect and knock off into Aegislash. This turn 1's actually really stressful to start. I want to make the read like Calyrex protects or switches out here. And just double up onto Mienshao, I think. Actually, I don't need to double up into it, right? Like, I could cover and go for Vicious Rend onto this, or even Crunch. I like blocking the Vicious Rend better. I'm going to double up into Mienshao. I'm going to make a read here. They don't go for it, though. Okay, they just fake out in a Dracovish. And Astral Barrage. They didn't respect Wide Guard at all. Wow. Okay, that's also, honestly, it looks really bad, obviously, but Aegislash survives, and like I pressure with Shadow Sneak next turn, so it's not the end of the world. So I'm curious if they have Focus Sash on Calyrex instead. That would explain the play a lot. And given that they didn't take Life Orb damage, I'm pretty sure it's sashed. Yeah, that would make a lot more sense. Okay. Then it's actually a really safe play, honestly, for my opponent to make. Yeah, Mienshao isn't sashed. Okay. Yeah, I feel like I've seen Mienshao on Calyrex with Sash on Calyrex a lot more. So, maybe it was safer to just Wide Guard on turn 1, because then they actually don't have great damage output into the Dracovish. The thing is, now I have dual priority with Shadow Sneak and Sucker Punch, so I can double up onto the Calyrex slot. But they have RIllaboom, which is obviously a little bit scary. RIllaboom. I'm leaning towards a double protect here, truthfully. But the thing is, you can't fake out Aegislash. You can't Grassy Glide it, though, I suppose. I'm just nervous. Even if they have sub... No, if they have sub, that'll actually be an issue, right? Yeah. I think, like, if they don't have Focus Sash turn 1, that play is super risky because it doesn't cover for Sneak into that slot. But in the end, I'm, like, pretty confident they have Sash. Actually, I don't know. I say that, but I'm really not 100% sure. I just think double protecting here is kind of passive. I'm still going to go for it, though. Just to block their Fake Out turn and put my Aegislash in a defense form. The only fear here is if there's a sub here on Calyrex. Lugia is really good against the RIllaboom in the endgame, so... Like, I'm not worried about dealing with that at the moment. Yeah, they just went for Fake Out. Okay. And Astral Barrage, that's fine. I mean, I have Shadow Sneak now, right? It's the same situation, though, with Shadow Sneak, where it's like, maybe they protect the Calyrex, right? And then knock off into Aegislash. So, the thing here is whether or not I want to Sucker Punch or Wicked Blow. If I Sucker Punch, and they protect, it's obviously just a really bad turn for us. But if I Wicked Blow, it covers for the protect option. However, if they just Astral Barrage, it's really bad for us. I really do feel like they protect here. Okay, I'm going to go all in with the Sucker Punch play. Ah, they do. Nicely done. Nicely done. That's got to be sashed, I think. So I read into the protect in the wrong turn this game, basically, because I'm pretty sure they're focus sashed. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. They actually choose to Woodhammer the Urshifu slot. Okay, instead of KOing the Aegislash there. That actually is a huge opportunity for us. Honestly, if I'm my opponent, I'm switching Calyrex out right now, because you got to respect Sneak and Sucker Punch into it. I'm already pretty behind in this game, so I feel like I kind of need to make a read or two. So this might seem wild, but I'm actually going to Gyro Ball the RIllaboom and protect the Urshifu. Okay, they just stay in, though. I guess they could just glide into the Aegislash slot. Yeah, that makes sense. I assume that KOs. Yeah. They played a really good game here. Like, we had the answers for them, but I just walked into a lot of my opponent's attacks. Yeah. The lead, I even got what I wanted, but, like, I don't know. Wide guard is pretty risky on turn 1. It's just such an, like, yeah, like, it's potentially, I wouldn't actually get anything off of it other than protecting Dracovish, but, also, if I click Shadow Sneak in the Calyrex turn 1, I probably actually would have lost. What I needed to do was read into the protect the turn that it actually did protect. And I can click Wicked Blow there, because if I click Wicked Blow there, then I can just Sucker Punch you for a KO. But now they should just win, I think. You just Glide Lugia, Astro Barrage. Oh, Aeroblast. And just Sucker Punch here. It's got to be Focus Sash, right? Okay, we'll finally get to confirm it. If not, for some reason, that would be really bizarre. But yeah. Sash Calyrex I've definitely seen popping up a lot more, specifically because there's so many things I can one-shot it. And this game, it was just so tough to enable Lugia. Although, honestly, if I knew their Focus Sash, like, we could actually... The other issue with leading Whimsicott Lugia is if they, The issue with leading Whimsicott Lugia there is if they have Feint on Mienshao. But... The line of action I took, maybe I don't want to lead Dracovish then. Maybe it's like Aegislash plus Lugia. That would be pretty interesting. Because Lugia can actually take that Astro Barrage, as you can see. And even if they're a life form, with that a special attack boost, we can survive. So I could have wide guarded with Aegislash. Like, I definitely feel like I just got hard outplayed in this one. I actually think the Pokemon we brought were great too. Like, these were actually probably the best 4 Pokemon to bring. Although, interestingly enough, they didn't bring Whimsicott, so maybe we actually could have gone for it. But, yeah, that's not a gamble I wanted to really take. Yeah. I think the scary thing is, even though Shadow Sneak looks so good into the Calyrex, my opponent has 2 Pokemon that get access to knockoff in the RIllaboom as well as the Aegislash. Now, had I actually doubled up on RIllaboom and read into the Calyrex Protect, or just gone for Wicked Blow the turn Calyrex Protected, I actually think we would have been in a pretty darn good position, honestly. So, that one turn... Like, the scary thing is, though, if I read into them protecting, and they don't protect, and they just click Astral Barrage, I instantly lose the game. But I think it's just highly likely they will protect in that position. It's just scary to, like, make a prediction when there's a seemingly obvious play, and then not cover for a play that will just win your opponent the game immediately, right? So, yeah. But, yeah, that was a scary one for them, and I think they maneuvered it really, really well. So, kudos to them. But let's just keep it going. Next game here, and it's going to be a Kyogre Togedemaru team. Very interesting with Stakataka. So Trick Room is pretty scary here, honestly. Like, they could go Indeedee plus Stack or RIllaboom Stack to try to get up Trick Room. I like Urshifu. Honestly, Urshifu Dracovish is interesting to me here because I could potentially pressure with the KO. And in the back, I probably want Lugia Aegislash. Okay, I guess low-key I actually could still go with Whimsicott Lugia to get the Fling off turn 1. Like, I could go Whimsicott Lugia Arcanine. There's 2 completely different ways we can play this game, in my opinion. Calm Mind on Lugia is also very interesting in this one, in my opinion. I don't know, I actually want to think about that route, but I think Indeedee might be sashed, which is the problem. If I'm my opponent, I would go the Trick Room route personally. Okay, I'm gonna try this out. I'm not sure. Like, if they didn't have Stakataka, I would 100% put all my eggs in the Calm Mind basket and, like, say, like, you just can't really deal with Lugia. They do have a Galarian-Moltres, by the way, which also isn't, like, amazing for Lugia to run into. Especially because a lot of Moltreses are AV these days, it feels like. They actually just go with Togedemaru and Kyogre. Okay. Dracovish is obviously in a really good spot. You can only fake out one of my 2 Pokemon right now. I would think you'd fake out Dracovish, but it might be Scarf. It's probably better to just protect Urshifu turn 1, but I don't know. Going for Wicked Blow gives us so much value if they try to fake out Dracovish and then like Water Spout. But feels entirely too risky to just give up Urshifu this early on, I think. If I'm my opponent, like, you could fake out either of these Pokemon. Like, fake out Urshifu, Water Spout. It's just that we have Focus Sash, and that's so good for us. But I guess Lugia and Aegislash aren't necessarily bad against what they have in the back. Okay, honestly, I'm down to Wicked Blow Kyogre immediately here, and Vicious Rend it. Yep, so they fake out. Cool, and they target Dracovish. Okay, now we get to see if they're Scarfed or not. They are. Okay. That's fine, though. That's the idea behind clicking Wicked Blow this turn. Like, if I had protected there, this next turn would have been slightly awkward, I think. So it's good to confirm their Choice Scarf on Kyogre. That's really big information, obviously. And now you just really deal so much less damage. Sucker Punch might honestly KO them. For that reason, I actually lean towards doubling up on a Togedemaru here with a Sucker Punch and a Vicious Rend. Kyogre's just in a really weird spot right now. And I think Togedemaru is probably going to want to attack. Alright, they stay in, but I'm fine with that. Like, you don't do any damage into Dracovish right now, and with Scarf Fish, we outspeed the Togedemaru. Yeah. Confirming its Choice Scarf is also really big, because it means I can use Aegislash to wide guard. So now this next turn, I should expect my opponent to bring out RIllaboom, right? Yeah, the only scary thing here is Kyogre setting up for, like, a late game. But I'll take that turn 1. Like, I think that worked out pretty well. Or turn 1, turn 2. I guess if I protected Urshifu, then the next turn I could have just I don't know. But then the thing is the Water Spout does more in a Dracovish, which is scary. So yeah, I think that was a gamble I was going to take. What are the remaining Pokemon? Indeedee, Stakataka, RIllaboom. I don't mind bringing out Lugia in this position. Kyogre's in a really bad spot right now. Like, your Water Spouts just don't really deal that much damage. And they bring out RIllaboom. Okay, good. That's what we were expecting. RIllaboom. I think here, I honestly lean towards just protecting Lugia and then switching Dracovish out into Aegislash, because then I can just self-Shadow Sneak the subsequent turn. Kind of comes down to what my opponent's last one is, but I don't mind that because Dracovish walls and is really nice late game, but it does really poorly into RIllaboom, obviously. Yep, so Kyogre switches out. I could have taken this opportunity to just attack. Okay, their last one's going to be Moltres. This is going to be a close finish, I think. It's going to be very close. This, I don't know, they probably went Fake Out. Like, I maybe could have just stayed in with both Pokemon here, because, like, this switch out on their end is relatively telegraphed, in my opinion. Okay, they went for Grassy Glide, so I missed an opportunity to Calm Mind, but that's okay. I do think I want to Calm Mind this turn. I don't want to Sneak yet. I'm leaning towards Calm Mind and then Gyro Ball into this. Because then I can, if you Fiery Wrath and activate my weakness policy, I can just KO the Moltres. So, yeah, I think Lugia is actually in a very nice spot right now. But the other thing is, maybe I should just go for the knockout on a RIllaboom, because now if I don't KO it, like, Dracovish is a little bit worse. I actually just go for Hurricane, which is fine. Do we dodge it? Oh, that's bad. High horsepower, whoa. Wow, I haven't seen that on RIllaboom in a minute. Okay. It's mainly the confusion that I'm really, really scared about right now. Yeah, that's not good. Oh my gosh, that almost one-shot. I was gonna say Shadow Sneak should KO from that range, but they have a berry. It's basically whether or not Lugia can avoid these confusions right now, I think. With the Calm Mind boost, we're not taking that much damage. I don't think they can, like... I lean towards eliminating RIllaboom here. Yeah, I guess you can't really do that much damage to the Lugia here, though. It's just attacking through confusions. I'm gonna King Shield with Aegislash, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna go for the knockout onto Moltres here. And King Shield. Okay, so don't protect Moltres. Please attack through the confusion, Lugia. I'm praying. If they didn't confuse us, I feel like we would have been in a winning position. Alright, let's see. Okay, nice. That's huge. Mainly because Moltres is just a really big offensive threat to us right now. They go for U-turn, which will actually activate... Oh, sorry, it doesn't activate weakness policy. Okay. The thing is, I have this special attack boost, so it still just comes down to whether or not I can attack through confusion with Lugia, I think. I could have tried to knock out RIllaboom this last turn as well, like Shadow Sneak into Aero Blast on RIllaboom. Their terrain is expiring, though, which is good. And they actually stalled out their own rain, so this is actually really awkward for them. We know they have high horsepower on the RIllaboom, which is scary, though. It's just whether or not I want to protect here. 2 turns of grassy terrain. Wow, them having high horsepower actually is a game changer for them, too. It's the other scary thing, but... Like, I think I lean towards just protecting here. I wonder if the right call is to give up Dracovish. Because Aegislash probably gives us more value right now in this game. And the other question is whether or not we can stall out terrain. But if I'm my opponent, I'm probably going high horsepower into Aegislash right now. So I could go for a double protect with it. I actually just went Aeroblast Jarable. I don't know how I feel about that one. Okay, they did just click Fake Out. So we'll see what Kyogre locks itself into. It's going to choose Thunder, but this shouldn't KO us. Okay, Lugia hangs on, which is clutch. You activate my weakness policy. This is so intense. But the thing is, the main thing I was looking for is this next turn, which is the last turn of grassy terrain. I maybe should have targeted Kyogre there, because we know it can't protect. But they're at mercy. Like, if you miss a Thunder now, you immediately lose the game. It's the last turn of terrain. I think I'm just going to make the very safe play of protecting and King Shielding. Also, wait, did we snap out of confusion? No, we're still confused. Yeah, I'm going to protect and King Shield here. This is really intense. I'm a little bit frustrated at myself for this one because I feel like I had opportunities to just win the game. But Lugia at least is clutch and attacks through all the confusions. Like, Hurricane Confusion is just so scary, right? Okay. So we'll successfully get King Shield off. Good. They Thunder. Yep, into Lugia. And high horsepower. Perfect. Perfect. Aegislash is so good for us in this game. And they eat up an attack drop, which is actually such a big deal now, because we should survive a high horsepower this subsequent turn. Gosh, it's just what I want to do this next turn. Okay, Grassy Terrain expires, which is exactly what we're vying for this whole game. I just wonder if Gyro Ball and a Shadow Sneak KOs the Kyogre here. They're going to Thunder Lugia. We should assume that it hits. If it doesn't hit, they're in a lot of trouble. I'm going to Aeroblast RIllaboom here, and yeah, go for the Gyro Ball into the Kyogre slot. Because I think Gyro Ball into Sneak should KO Kyogre. Okay, they are going to hit the Thunder. That's fine. It's mainly avoiding like a high horsepower crit right now, I think, onto Aegislash. Because the thing is, like, the odds are in our... I wouldn't say in our favor here, but my opponent has to connect on multiple Thunders. Man, this RIllaboom is dealing so much damage, too. Okay, we get Gyro Ball off. Beautiful. Okay, Sneak KOs that. Now we know it's Choice Scarfed, and they don't have Pryl, so they can't knock out Aegislash. So, now I can just Shadow Sneak the Kyogre, Vicious Rend the RIllaboom. What a game. I think Vicious Rend is just the best one to lock into here because of same type attack bonus. If I had a Dragon type attack, like Dragon Claw, I'd go for that, but I'm pretty sure Vicious Rend is a 2-hit KO here. Especially because they don't have Grassy Terrain anymore. So this endgame was really scary, but I like feel like it favored us. Like if they missed a single Thunder, the game's just over immediately. Aegislash's damage output was honestly very, very nice. We get Fish's Rend off, perfect. And now Sneak should KO that, so even if you knock out the Aegislash, or sorry, the Dracovish with Glide, which they don't, Sneak would have always just won us the game. So, what a game, wow. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna sneak in Fish's Rend here. Nice. That was really scary, but turn 1, I think we got the better end of the trade-off. The main idea was to just like use Dracovish to apply pressure. They didn't go with the Stakataka Trick Room route at all, which I guess if anything, like I'm kind of glad because that could have been really scary. But I guess it makes sense because you're restricted to Scarf Ogre, so the idea was just to apply a lot of pressure. And like if I led Lugia, this actually would have been really awkward for us, I think, because like Lugia wouldn't have been able to do very much in a Togedemaru and Kyogre, and I could like, if I get baited into thinking they're not Choice Scarf and just go for a Calm Mind, like things could get really ugly there. So that was super, super close. But Lugia honestly put in a lot of work. Like we put ourselves in a position to sweep with it in the late game, right? And I could have protected that turn, but I wanted to get damage off with Aegislash. That one turn was pretty risky, I think, where I attacked with both Pokemon because I could have double protected there. So I'd have to think a little bit harder about like what was objectively the right play for that turn specifically. But yeah, that was a super, super fun game. Okay, it's gonna be a Xerneas team for this one. Xerneas Indeedee. I actually don't think I've ran into a Xerneas team in all my practice games learning this team. Now, obviously, Aegislash is really valuable. I have Snarl and Arcanine, so I can't help but think like that's an important part of the equation as well. If you're my opponent, like their team is so concentrated around Xerneas, right? The main thing is going to be the Indeedee, I think. But they could easily lead Fake Out plus Xern. I think we should definitely be leading Aegislash here because Gyro Ball in general is really good into my opponent's team. They could theoretically lead Entei, which is scary. But I'm honestly thinking Arcanine plus Aegislash because I can Snarl Gyro Ball turn 1 with this, which I like a lot. My issue is dealing actual damage into Xerneas outside of Aegislash. Like, these two are probably the primary damage dealers into Xern, right? And I'm thinking Urshifu plus Lugia in the back. I guess we could go the Tailwind route, but like Whimsicott just feels like dead weight to me after the beginning of the game. I don't love Dracovish here either. Okay. This one's going to be an interesting matchup because I think that like it is very, very dependent based off how I play with Aegislash. A good game with Aegislash will make it look like a sweep. A bad game with Aegislash will make it look like my opponent will like just completely destroy me, right? So like I really think a lot of this game relies on how I play with Aegislash. And they go with Indeedee Xerneas, which honestly I think is probably one of the best leads we could have run into here. Maybe the best lead, and that's what I was hoping to cover for this lead. Because what I can do to turn 1 is just go for Snarl plus Gyro Ball. I guess the issue is I don't know if that knocks out Indeedee. But either way, if we can get Xerneas down to neutral, like the thing is we have Aegislash, we have two things that resist it, and we have Lugia, and we have Wide Guard, right? So, and Lugia can Calm Mind. The issue is actually dealing damage into Xerneas, like that's my concern. Okay, Psychic Seed, that's fine. I guess I could see them switching Xerneas out here. But maybe they just go with Follow Me and Geomancy. So I'm down to just Snarl and Gyro Ball turn 1. Because Indeedee doesn't really put on that much pressure. And they go for Follow Me. Yeah, I'm hoping Follow Me Geomancy. That's like the best case. But the fact they stay in is I think generally good. Missing Snarl here would be pretty sad. So I'm hoping we can connect here. Okay. There's Geomancy. Yeah, like, if we Snarl, it depends on how fast Indeedee is, because I don't think Gyro Ball's going to one-shot. We missed the Indeedee, but at least we hit the one that's important, so I'll take it. Could have been worse. It was a little bit of chip damage on Indeedee, but honestly, it's pretty negligible, so that's fine missing it. It's okay. Okay, here we get the Gyro Ball off. Oh, that did nothing. Well, that's not great. I'm down to just King Shield Protect here. I honestly might want to Flare Blitz with Arcanine this next turn. I wonder if he can KO Indeedee. Probably not. It looks bulky enough to survive. Yeah, I'm down to just play the safe play and King Shield Protect here. Because the thing is, if you're my opponent, you're probably going to keep going for Follow Me. But, like, I can just keep snarling with Arcanine. This is the perfect duo to deal with Xerneas right now. Xerneas is scary, but not if every decreased stage of special attack is so important, right? Especially considering that we already have the 2 resist to it out on the field. So, I'm down to just play it safe this next turn. And then where do we go from there? Okay, Arcanine protects. We stance change here. They stay in, so I'm expecting Follow Me plus Dazzle or Moonblast. Yep. I think I just want to go for another Snarl this next turn. And they just Moonblast. Perfect. Cool. That works for me. I did miss out on an opportunity to KO with Aegislash, but the thing is we also have to respect Shadow Ball and Indeedee in that position, right? So I could just Flare Blitz Gyro Ball here, but the question is, do I prefer the... If I knock out Indeedee, they get a free switch in into, say, like, the Arcanine. Or, sorry, the Entei. Actually, looking at my team, my Entei answers are really subpar. Maybe I did need to bring Whimsicott. So actually, we want to intentionally not knock him out right now. Like, I'm going to go for another Gyro Ball and Snarl. And the reason is because we want to keep Indeedee out on the field, because then what I can do this next turn is just Flare Blitz Indeedee and then Gyro Ball and threaten with the double KO. Wait. Oh, wow. This isn't going to KO Aegislash, I don't think. Oh, they even target Arcanine. That was a very high risk, like, low reward play, I feel like. Because Aegislash, like, we might just knock out Xerneas now. And if Xerneas faints, I think we just win the game. Well, not necessarily, actually. Their Entei can still put in an immense amount of work, especially with helping hand pressure from Indeedee and burn pressure. But I'll gladly take that turn. That's not how I expected it to play out at all. Okay. So their stance change. And Gyro Ball onto Xern. Wow, beautiful. I'm so glad we get to feature some of the other Pokemon on this team in Arcanine, Aegislash, and Dracovish. Like, I think they're all just really fun Pokemon that don't see that much play in the meta right now. So, yeah. Like I said before we got into the game, so much about this game was basically how it played out with Aegislash. They bring out Incin as well. I feel like if you had Arcanine, you'd want to bring it out there immediately, so I'll gladly take that. Or sorry, if you had Entei, you bring it. I always mix those two up. Yeah, I mean, I'm down to just King Shield again here. And then pivot Arcanine out into... I don't want to break Multiscale. Actually, it's... is it fine? They can't fake out with Incin right now either. Okay, I'm down to actually just King Shield and Flare Blitz into Indeedee. Like, I don't feel like Arcanine's really that important in this game anymore, and I feel like we have a very substantial lead. King Shield, Flare Blitz. We've got Lugia in the back. If I want Arcanine to faint, because if Arcanine faints, then I get a free switch it into Lugia, and I can self-Shadow Sneak and just activate the Policy, right? Which would be, if we activate Policy, it feels like it's basically a wrap. It's probably Expanding Force here. Okay, we don't really do that much damage to Indeedee, but that's fine. Actually, Flare Blitz into Aegislash. Okay, cool. Yeah, Aegislash is hard carrying us in this one, honestly. I mean, it gives us an attack drop, which is awesome. And then just Expanding Force. Sweet. Okay, so with the attack drop now, this next turn, I think another Flare Blitz will knock out the Indeedee, so we'll get the knockout onto that. I don't really want to switch Aegislash out here. So I'm down to just Gyro Ball the Indeedee and Flare Blitz it, honestly. Yeah, and they just end up forfeiting. Yeah, I mean, I feel like you just can't give up Xerneas with that turn. Like, even if you were confident in helping him plus Moonblast KOing, you'd at least have to target the Aegislash there, I think. Because Aegislash is the one that threatens Xerneas with so much damage. So, yeah. Like, but to be honest, my opponent was in a really tough spot after turn 1, even though they got the Geomancy off, because their damage output with Xerneas just basically went down the drain after a single Snarl. So we got the exact lead we were looking for. Could have been a little bit scarier if they led, like, Fake Out plus Xerneas, but yeah, it basically played out as perfectly as possible. And, like, this Aegislash, is so good into Xerneas teams. I think what's also, for example, this could have played out very differently if my opponent actually leads Entei plus like Indeedee in the beginning of the game, because I don't have much damage pressure, and then Entei just can launch Sacred Fire into everything. So I think Entei was the part of the equation that my opponent needed. Unfortunately for us, yeah, they didn't bring it out. So that was a really fun set of games today. We ended up playing 4, and I think we went up against all the top 4 restricteds, right? It was the Zacian in game 1, Calyrex in game 2, Kyogre in this one, and Xerneas in game 4. So really happy to feature how Lugia can match up against all of the common, restricted Pokemon in the format. And game 2, I really just got very heavily outplayed. Like, that one felt a little bit frustrating to me because I, basically didn't get any predictions right. Like, turn 1, I expected them to protect Calyrex or switch out. They didn't. And then the turn when Calyrex didn't protect, the turn Calyrex protected eventually, I was expecting them not to protect. So sometimes you'll just get, you'll look a little bit silly. And, yeah, I mean, that was just my opponent playing a lot better than I in that one. So, yeah. It shows you also how scary Focus Sash Calyrex can be, and why I think it's something that I personally run into a lot, especially on the higher ladder. So, yeah. That's going to be it for this one. Thank you so much as always for watching Road to Rank. Thank you to Paul Ruiz for the team. Check them out, linked in the description below. Don't forget to answer the question of the day. Leave a like if you enjoy, and I'll see you all soon. All right. Peace.